on, we on the streets in the war zones. Pushing this truth until we get called home. I got brothers I could fall on. Any situation, brothers I could call on. All we gotta do is log on. Send a chain message, seeing if the God's home. Our brother need help now. No matter what it is, we deny self now. Nobody getting let down. For the most high, we gotta put our best down. Man, I love this brotherhood. On the road again, hitting up another hood. Up north, down south, Midwest, it don't matter, we gon' bring it out. Scriptures keep ringing out. We gon' speak it, we gon' rap it, even sing it out. Camp shirts blinging out. We gon' shine with these laws, what you be about?
All right. Shalom, Most High in Christ. Bless everybody. Welcome to today's class. I'm Brother Raphael. To my left,
Brother Jacob.
Today's topic is called Cursed Shalt Thou Be in the City, Spiritual Wickedness in High Places. One thing you have to understand, brothers and sisters, okay? You so-called blacks and you so-called Hispanics, whose fathers are of Negroid and Indian descent, we are the biblical Israelites. Make no mistake about that. Cursed shall thou be in the city. Okay, while we're bringing it up. Because right now with these events that's been taking place, where our people have been shot down unjustly with the George Floyd situation, the Breonna Taylor situation, the Ahmaud Arbery situation, the Eric Garner situation, the Trayvon, I can keep going. Is a long list of our brothers and sisters that have been shot down. Tamir Rice, a child. Okay.
Matter of fact, on my way here, I stopped at Starbucks, and right by the front door, they had a sign about this big with nothing but the names of our brothers and sisters that have been slain in honor to them.
So join us in today's journey. We're going to go through the scriptures, but we're also going to deal with videos, okay? These videos that we're about to show, they are for teaching purposes. It really is, we're using it as a learning tool. They're media references. So that's what we're going to use them for education, so people can see history and how history is repeating itself. Because a lot of people think that they see the rioting going on, the looting, they call looting, all these things that are going on in the country, this place, America, where they think some people don't know history past year 2000. They think this stuff just started happening. They think that, oh, you know what? You hear about these different names, but what about the names we didn't mention? Throughout history, our ancestors who constantly have been going through this time after time after time, how the justice system has not really been serving us any type of justice. Because what happens, we put our faith in this system, not realizing there is spiritual wickedness in high places. And what we're going to do today, like I said, we're going to go to the scriptures, but we're also going to show some visual. Because y'all need to see things, what has happened to our ancestors when we tried to go through Reconstruction. We tried to fight through what they call the Jim Crow white supremacy system that still is in place today. See, what happens, what people have to understand is the rhetoric that's being pushed by the president and the politicians. What they do, they mask things, but they also bring things out. If you don't pay attention to what they're saying in the media, how things have been how it's been able to progress over time, what we're going to do today, we're going to deal with some of that, okay? But as customary, you can't just say I have Christ and no laws, and you just can't say I have laws and no Christ. They have to be coupled together, okay? Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 8 and verse 20. Let's start there.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 8 and verse 20.
Go ahead.
To the law.
The Bible says to the law, okay? We do know that the Bible is compacted with laws from Genesis all the way to the Revelation. Go ahead, brother.
And to the
And to the testimony. So now we go precept upon precept to find out what is the testimony according to the Bible. Let's go to what? Let's go to the book of the Revelation, chapter 19, verse 10. Go ahead, brother.
The book Revelation, chapter 19 and verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus.
The testimony of the Messiah, the King of Kings, Yahweh Shai, the Son of the Most High. So we have the testimony of Christ, okay, because we go back to Isaiah 8 and 20 to finish up.
Well, let me
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I ain't finished. Yeah, go ahead.
Worship God.
Worship the Most High.
For the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy.
Okay, that's what I wanted. So you have to understand something, brothers and sisters. If you don't have the Spirit of Christ on you, you will not understand the Bible in its entirety. You will be lost. Okay, a lot of people are lost. They don't have understanding because they don't read the Bible precept upon precept. So that's why we jump from book to book for some of y'all who are new or don't know to gain understanding. Okay, so now we know what the testimony is. The testimony is the Spirit of Christ. To the laws of the testimony now, go back to Isaiah and 20.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 8, and verse 20.
Go ahead.
To the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word,
Okay.
it is because there is no light in them.
So now, if whoever's teaching, if they're not speaking, thus said the Lord God, as the Bible is written, it's telling you there's no light in them. Okay? So now you know how we always like to say, people love to sing that song, this little light of mine, and they don't understand what the light is according to the Bible. So now we're going to go to the Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 23, to find out what is the precept or the understanding of the light according to the Bible. Go ahead, brother.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 23.
Okay.
For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light.
The law is light because remember something. Christ says, let your light so shine in Matthew 5:16. So we have to understand in this context, the light is the laws in Christ. The darkness is sin. So what the laws in Christ have us to do as Israelites, repentant Israelites, it have us to do what? To navigate through sin to be corrected. So if I'm in the midst of sin, which is a transgression of the laws correct me. The example would be if I'm a person that loves to steal. I'm accustomed to lying. The scriptures, I filter them through Christ and say, oh, Christ didn't steal and Christ didn't lie. So what happens, I get reproved correct. I get correction, right? Go ahead, finish up, brother.
And reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
Reproofs of instructions are the way of life because reproof is correction. Because what happens, the laws correct you as being a repenting Israelite. Repentance, which means turn away from willful sin, and you couple the laws through Christ, you filter them through Christ, and you walk like Christ. Okay, well, Christ wasn't a thief. He didn't transgress the laws, so I'm going to follow Christ as the Bible is written. That's how we're supposed to carry ourselves as repenting Israelites. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, you had something? Is that it? Okay. Okay, now, we get into the topic. Okay, as we've been seeing after every metropolitan city in these Americas, really all over the world, our people are under curses. Okay, even we're going to go back even to the old, during the time of ancient times, where we were cursed back then. So it's showing you there is a continual history. It constantly keeps repeating itself. And what are we supposed to do is we're supposed to learn from this. Not to keep repeating the same thing over and over again. I'm going to use an example. We unjustly get shot down, right? Or whatever the case may be. And then we kill ourselves too. That's another problem. We have self-hatred. Matter of fact, that's a real big problem. Okay, because on one end, we kill each other because we don't value ourselves. So what happens when something like this happens where they kill us, with the police officers killing us, or the other nations kill us, they look at us and say, okay, well, y'all don't love each other anyway. So you know what? So why y'all have an outcry when we kill you? Why you in a march when we kill you? You don't love yourselves. And that's where we come in and we show our people how to love ourselves. By first of all, knowing who you are first. then you know how to say, okay, how do I deal with my fellow brother and sister? Okay, if I have a problem with my brother, my sister, I'm supposed to be able to deal in order and respect and resolve it through the laws. But see, we're not taught. When you tell a person you tell a lawless nation, such as our people who are accustomed to do evil, you tell them, you know what? Jesus is going to still love you anyway. You don't have to keep no laws. And you wonder why in our communities we always have problems because we don't know how to deal with each other. And that's why we keep telling everybody the laws is what they're supposed to use to govern us. We don't need nobody else to govern us. We can govern ourselves with the commandments. But when you tell somebody they don't have to keep commandments, that's why we are lawless. That's why when we all in society, we always having issues within our own communities.
That's the spirit of Satan.
Exactly.
No commandments.
Right. Okay. But spiritual wickedness in high places. Let's stick to the topic. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 1. Let's start there first.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Hear my voice, O God.
Okay, David is saying, hear my voice, O God, the same way we are today. Hear my voice. Because that's what we want to be heard, right? Everybody's saying the reason why we are protesting and we're going through these issues, the reason why we have to bring to light what's going on, hear my voice. Mm-hmm. Read.
In my prayer.
And my prayer, because we're praying. Right? Read.
Preserve my life.
Preserve my what?
Preserve my life.
Because you see now our lives are not being preserved. Right now our lives is like a speck of the dust. It doesn't matter. We keep saying Black Lives Matter. Guess what? They don't care. Until the next brother or sister gets shot down. Okay? Read. From what?
Hide me from fear of the enemy.
Read. We start up verse 1 again.
Hear my voice, O God.
Go ahead.
In my prayer.
Uh-huh.
Preserve my life from fear of the enemy.
Fear of the what?
The enemy.
Fear of the enemy. Because we have enemies. If y'all don't know that by now, shame on you. Okay? Because this is a perpetual thing. It's a continual thing that's been going on time after time, generation after generation. Police brutality, bam, we riot. Police brutality, we riot. This keeps happening. It's a perpetual thing. Read.
Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked.
Secret counsel of who?
The wicked.
Because remember something, it starts from up top. As y'all gonna start to see, we show y'all, it starts from up top. This stuff has been going on since this country's inception. And y'all keep thinking it just started happening. No, it's always been in the very fabric of this place. Read.
From the insurrection.
The into what?
Insurrection of the workers of iniquity.
The workers of sin. Because it's always workers of sin. Politics, workers of sin. Because if you want to go and vote and think this is going to change the climate of our people, think again. Because how long have we been voting? 50 some odd years. And has anything really changed? Because you vote for one demon, you're going to go to another demon. He's going to tell you everything you want to hear to get just to get in office. But how is that going to help our communities? How? See, that's the thing. It's one thing to protest, but what's the plan after that? What are you going to do after you finish doing all that? What you going to do after that? What are we going to do now? Because we can outcry all we want, but we don't have a plan with it. It makes no difference. Okay? Until the next person gets shot down. Say something.
You know, when it comes to voting, brothers and sisters, you might vote. A person might vote for a politician because they say what you want, what they know you want to hear, but you never know what their ulterior motive is. We don't know these people beyond them campaigning. We don't know what they're talking about behind their closed doors, and then behind the closed doors of their meetings that they don't have with everybody they normally deal with. So you never know what somebody is really up to, which is why we don't even get involved in politics on top of the scriptures commanding us not to set a person above us that's not of our brethren. So y'all see through the video.
Secret counsel.
Go back to verse 2 again. We're gonna pound this home until you understand What's going on biblically? Read it again.
The book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 2.
Go ahead.
Hide me from the secret counsel of the
The
wicked.
secret counsel of the wicked. Right now, they're plotting right now. You don't think those people plotting about how they're gonna deal with this situation? Mm-hmm. This man is wiser than Daniel. He ain't crazy. He know how. He got this thing set up how he wants to set it up. Okay, read.
From the insurrection of the workers of iniquity.
Go ahead.
Who wet, W-H-E-T, who wet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words.
Because the rhetoric is being pushed. Very bitter words is being pushed. Read.
That they may shoot in secret.
And what?
In secret.
At
the perfect.
At the perfect is the brothers and sisters trying to keep the commandments. Because once I'm going to tell y'all something. Once Israel stopped killing each other and we start coming together and we start building, like I'm going to use an example. Like Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? It's called Greenwood, and we got Rosewood as well. When we start building on our own economically, we were self-sufficient. That became a threat because what happened, the so-called white people that was around about them had a problem with that. But yet they always put the stereotype to say, oh, we don't want to do nothing. We're what they call us. They say we lazy. We don't want to do nothing for ourselves. But every time we try to do something for ourselves, what happened? The common denominator, the so-called white man, come and destroy it. And then you want to sit there and say, oh, y'all just love to be on welfare. But guess what? We was doing our own thing. We're gonna deal with that. We're gonna show you who is behind all of it, the destruction of it. Okay? Read on, brother. That they may shoot in secret. We said that they may shoot in secret. Go ahead.
At the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not.
They don't fear not because they know ain't nothing gonna happen to them. They know their justice system is set up, so when something go down, they already have everything set up the way they want it to be set up. Okay, we're gonna deal with that. We're gonna show the video on that because our people need to see how this is affecting us today. The same spirit back then is still alive today. Y'all keep on thinking, oh, this just happened. No. When you go back in history, we're gonna show you. Okay, we're gonna show you. We can show you better than we can tell you.
The same spirit of Satan is on this one particular group of people.
Right. And we ain't making this into a racial thing. We showing you historical facts. And you cannot, we're going to show you historical facts, and guess what? Try to challenge it. If not, do your own research. But keep reading, brother. Then we go into the video. Okay. Go ahead.
Verse 5. They encourage themselves in an evil matter.
They encourage themselves in an evil matter. Get the militias. They get all their people together to say, you know what? We're going to destroy these people. Go ahead. Y'all think this ain't biblical. That's what this is coming from David. Read.
They commune of laying snares privily.
Privily.
They say, who shall see them? What's this remind you of right now, today?
Right.
No. In these protests, you got Antifa and other organizations have infiltrated in it, and they're the ones doing all the violence.
Exactly. Because what they're doing, you got these people, they're sabotaging the movement by spray painting Black Lives Matter. Right. And they doing all these different things because why? Because what they do, use rhetoric. They say, okay, well, they're a terrorist organization. As a matter of fact, pull up the term. I want you to give me the definition of terrorist. Pull it up. I want to find out because the root word is terror, right? Let's find and give me the definition what their definition is of terrorists. Because Trump did say he's going to call them a terrorist organization, right? Right. Didn't he say that? But yet, the so-called white man could go with his guns and go to the Capitol up in Michigan with guns now. Okay, let's read it. Let's find out what it is. Well, let's find out what their definition of terrorist is. You got it? Let's find out.
Terrorist. A person who uses unlawful violence.
Oh, whoa. A person to do what?
A person who uses unlawful violence.
Go ahead.
And intimidation especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims.
Oh, let's read it one more. Read it nice and slow. Because I see that's the problem. People throw words around and don't have no understanding what it's talking about. Read it nice and slow so people can hear it.
A terrorist.
Uh-huh.
A person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims. 4 commercial aircraft were hijacked by terrorists. Adjective, unlawfully using violence and intimidation.
Oh, using what again?
Unlawfully using violence
and intimidation. Okay. That's all I want to know. Go ahead, say what you have to say, Jake.
So they've declared that Antifa, who's going around and being violent and doing all kinds of stuff,
right?
They've declared them terrorists. But what I think is funny, they even have us on the terrorist list.
Right. And what blows my mind about the whole thing is we ain't did no violence to nobody. We don't have no guns. We ain't forming no militias.
Nope, we're not intimidating.
We ain't intimidating nobody. But let's go to the video. Let's find out who is doing all this.
See, it's another way of them whetting their sword.
Exactly.
Using words.
It's propaganda. See, I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm going to say this to y'all. I'm going to say it to you, and I'm going to say it to you for what it is. Propaganda is a weapon because what they do, they use media. And back in the day, they used the media through newspaper clippings to draw cartoonists, to draw the big, bad, mean, evil people, right? So what they do, they know you gullible. They know the simple believe in every word. So what they do, they say, okay, they use the word terror. One time it's called the communists. They used the word communist as another word to put you in a category. If you even speak out against something that's unjust, they want to throw a word at you. But when you look at the definition, that's why I wanted to pull it up for a reason. Because I'm going to show you who really fits this. Okay? This ain't to throw shade, it's to be real. Because I'm tired of people throwing words out there have no understanding what the word means. Okay? Now let's go to the video. No, go say what you have to say.
Got, verse 6.
I was going to try. Okay, go to verse 6.
Well, do you want to?
No. Keep going. I'm glad. No, keep going. Because then we go to the video after that. Go ahead.
They search out iniquity. They accomplish a diligent search.
Don't they do that? Don't they do that? They dig deep into your history to find what they can find. Let me see. Let's find out if he's a criminal. Let's find out if he did any criminal activity. Let's find out what he was doing in this time. They do a what inquisition? What they do again?
They search out iniquity. They accomplish a diligent search.
Go ahead.
Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep.
The heart is deep. Okay? Investigating you, infiltrating you, doing all these different things you want to do.
Like George Floyd's autopsy.
Right.
You saw the man get his neck and back crushed.
There you go.
But you're going to do a toxicology report. As if that has anything with him not being able to breathe and suffocating to death. Because
trying to figure out a way to do what? To get off. To not have blame. They do us diligent. What the Bible say? What does it say again?
They search out iniquity. They accomplish a diligent search. Diligent search.
Toxicology reports. Let's find out was he a criminal before. Let's find out what led up to the altercation. Let's find out.
His entire history.
Right. You know? Here you the victim now. But they're going to go ahead on and do a diligent search on you. Keep going.
But you know, I bet because they said his heart or his kidneys came back good and all that, I bet you they weren't in that casket. I bet you those organs weren't in that casket.
Go ahead.
They were found in good health.
Go ahead.
Verse 7.
No, but both the end were thought. Oh, no, you got it. Verse 7. Yeah, go ahead. Verse 7.
But God.
But who?
God. Shall shoot at them with an arrow.
Go ahead.
Suddenly shall they be wounded.
Because the Most High is going to bring judgment. Y'all think this coronavirus something? You wait till the Most High bring when that sky gets cracked. Because you best believe he's going to be angry. Because all this injustice going on, Stevie Wonder saw that man was being killed. unjustly. And you talking about something? I'm just going to do a third. What was the charge? The first charge. No, it was third degree murder at first.
Yeah.
Then they upgraded second degree. It's supposed to be first degree. Open and shut case. The man was killed unjustly, handcuffed. It's a modern day public lynching, and we're gonna go over that too. Keep reading. It says, so they shall make their what? Their own. Matter of fact, finish up on verse 7. I'm sorry. Verse 8.
Verse 8. So they shall make their own tongue.
Their own what?
Tongue.
Go ahead.
To fall upon themselves.
They're gonna tell it themselves.
All that see them shall flee away. And you know what? They shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves.
Right.
We're going to show you how.
Exactly.
Because we're going to hit some history today.
Yep. That's why we have to show you history. See, we're not going to sit there and just yell and curse people out. We don't do stuff like that. We're going to do it through intelligence. So we're going to show you through history. We're going to show you biblical history. Because, see, some of y'all think that the Bible ain't a history book.
Right.
But we're going to show you through biblical what Christ had to say about this too. Okay? Go ahead.
They record everything.
Right.
Ever since they became a civilization, they
Yep.
record everything.
And we're going to go over some of those recordings too.
And use it against them.
We're going to show you. We're going to show you history because that's what we need. You need to see history because that's the problem with our people. We don't believe things to the white man tell you. So it's time for us to show you through biblical history. That's what this is. This is biblical history. All right, finish up on that too, brother. Verse 9.
Verse 9. And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of God. For they shall wisely consider of his doing.
Because when the Lord come back, everybody's going to fear. Best believe that. Read. Last verse.
Verse 10. The righteous.
The what?
The righteous. Shall be glad in the Lord.
You sure it ain't the politicians?
The righteous shall be glad in the Lord.
They glad in who? You think we should go voting? We should be glad in who?
In the Lord.
Go ahead.
And shall trust in him.
You sure we don't supposed to trust in Biden and go to the polls and go and go try to plead to these people about just give us legislation? Who we gonna trust in?
And shall trust in him.
Go ahead.
And all the upright in heart shall glory. Because understand something, y'all. The only way we getting out of this is if the Most High in Christ deliver us from this. And we have to keep commandments in the faith of Christ. Hey, we lost the visual. There we go. And the faith of Christ. No, just for a little bit. We're good. Okay. Give us the video.
Which one you want? Which one you want to start with?
Start us with the Give me the public lynching with the sister lady with the start
Neal?
Yeah, start that with her because we're gonna show y'all something. We're gonna show y'all the different type of spirit. Has it changed? Then I want Ezekiel 35. Listen to what this lady had to say.
In the United States was the last spectacle lynching.
Spectical lynching.
Neal was the last spectacle lynching in the United States.
Are you sure?
I know spectacle and lynching are words that really should not go together, but they did. What happened in 1934 was that Claude Neal was in a jail in Alabama. The lynch mob was incensed. They didn't want him going through the regular judicial system. Now understand that the regular judicial system in Alabama for African Americans was not a kind and gentle force. But a lesson needed to be made of Claude. And that lesson was going to be one of the most horrific acts of violence on American soil. Part of what you had with spectacle lynching was that I know we have these ideas in our head about a lynching where there one guy, two guys, they sold tickets. This was advertised in the churches. Special trade on Sunday. So, we've got Minister so-and-so is going to be speaking here, and so-and-so is going to be having that. Oh, by the way, we're going to have a lynching down in Florida. You can get your special tickets in the back. They're only cost so much, and it's going to, bring your kids, bring a picnic basket. It's going to be fabulous. Claude Neal gets yanked out of that jail in Alabama. He gets sent through a gauntlet of torture down into Florida, where the crowd that has bought their tickets and come in on their special trains and brought their picnic baskets are waiting for this incredible event. He is put up on a stand, stripped naked, and the crowd is going wild. He's being branded. I mean, you already see the blood. I mean, because he's gone through this gauntlet of torture. And then they begin to just start cutting off his body parts. Part of the torture is they begin to cut off his genitalia. They cut off one piece, stuff it in his mouth, and force him to eat it. And the crowd is like, yeah! And they cut off some more of his genitalia, stuff that in his mouth. And so you can imagine, this man is standing there before the throne, bleeding, forced to eat his own flesh. And there is no sense of humanity anywhere in the air. Then they start cutting off his fingers and throwing them to the crowd like a souvenir. And the crowd is like, more, 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 more. And Claude is there bleeding to death, being branded with hot irons. And finally, after no more, being strung up. This is the spectacle lynching of Claude Neal. That was horrific enough. But what, in fact, makes it beyond egregious is then the response of the law enforcement officials. The NAACP immediately sent folks down to investigate this lynching. They went to Alabama and they said, Alabama's, there's no crime committed here because he wasn't killed here. So they went to the officials in Florida. Florida said, well, he's not from here. No crime committed because he's not from here. Now, I didn't realize that anywhere in the statute dealing with murder, it said you had to be from that space in order for that to be a murder. But the NAACP thought, we now have on the books the Lindbergh kidnapping law, based on the kidnapping of Charles Lindbergh's baby. That therefore makes it a crime, a federal crime, to take somebody and transport them against their will across state lines. So the end up.
The sound, if I mute your mics, the sound is only coming through the microphone. It's not coming from the YouTube.
Is it coming through YouTube now?
No, hold on. Hold on, y'all. We gonna let me see. Hold on. Didn't you go through that with Katie one time? There was something you had to put.
You stopped it?
I paused it because it's. I'm gonna just finish this. We'll get it on the next video.
NAACP goes to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI. J. Edgar Hoover says, no crime committed here because nobody asked for a ransom. That is what justice looked like for Claude Neal and so for so many African Americans during the Great Depression.
Shut it down. Shut it down. We good? Let me tell y'all something. You see how the spiritual wickedness in high places, you see that? The law enforcement, they didn't look at it as a murder. Crime to them, crime wasn't committed, right? Reminds me of like Rodney King. Remember Rodney King got beat down on TV? You saw it on TV? And they acquitted all those 4 officers. All these different brothers and sisters been shot down. They've been acquitted. Same thing, same spirit. So when you deal with spiritual wickedness in high places, look at the climate with it. They sold tickets. Their church leaders was okay with that. Okay?
There's
Go ahead.
there's a lot of stuff in there. One thing that stood out is like the way that crime was committed, and then it goes all the way to the top. There's no prosecution.
There you go.
They're not even admitting that there was a crime.
Yep.
It's just like with the police today.
Exactly.
They're the ones on the bottom, but it all goes to the top.
Right.
If at the top, in the high places, if they want to shut that stuff down, they can shut it down. If you kill somebody unjustly, you go to the chair.
Now
That'll stop it.
Now there wasn't that a terrorist act? Because
Yes.
it went against the law, didn't it?
Yes.
They didn't go due process law. That was a domestic terrorist act. They took that man. He didn't go through due process. He wasn't even in a jury of his peers. They didn't go due process law, which you're taught in school. Due process law, they skipped us at the hell with that. We're gonna skip through all that.
Matter of fact, they went and took him out of jail.
Right. Out the jurisdiction.
A lot of the lynchings, they go and take you
Right.
out of the jail.
Against the law. The law they implemented now. Okay? Against the law, take you out and publicly hold a public lynching. You say terrorists? What did the definition say? They go against the law.
Right.
And it's been going on time after time after time. Who does that now? The nationalists does it. They pushing it. But yet, they want to look at us and say, oh, we don't do none of that crap. Matter of fact, we don't even push violence. But at the end of the day, that's what's been going and still going on. We're gonna do another video. Let's keep dealing with some videos.
You want to run that back? The audio was bad.
Let's run it back. Run the video back.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, y'all. Run it
Yeah,
back.
y'all need to hear this.
Y'all need to hear this. Y'all need to hear this. We're gonna have to, y'all need to hear this. Understand, get the effect of it. Because the thing about it, brothers and sisters, we can show you better than we can tell you.
Claude Neal was the last spectacle lynching in the United States. Now, I know spectacle and lynching are words that really should not go together.
Can you hear it?
But they did. What happened in 1934 was that Claude Neal was in a jail in Alabama. The lynch mob was incensed. They didn't want him going through the regular judicial system. Now, understand that the regular judicial system in Alabama for African Americans was not a kind and event. And an event where it's advertised.
No, it's gonna do it again for every video.
What do you have to do so you can hear it?
They can hear it. It's just they can only hear it through these mics. They're not hearing it through the actual
And the audio is not
the
that good.
audio. I don't know what is causing that. Everything is as it should be.
Is it bad?
See how it sounds? It has like an echo effect.
That's good.
That's still
That's
good.
fine.
That's good enough.
That's okay. Keep going.
They can hear it. It's just they can only hear it through these mics. They're not hearing it through the actual.
As announced in church on Sunday. So, we've got Minister so-and-so is going to be speaking here, and so-and-so is going to be having that. Oh, by the way, we're going to have a lynching down in Florida You can get your special tickets in the back. They only cost so much, and it's going to bring your kids, bring a picnic basket. It's going to be fabulous. Claude Neal gets yanked out of that jail in Alabama. He gets sent through a gauntlet of torture down into Florida, where the crowd that has bought their tickets and come in on their special trains and brought their picnic baskets are waiting for this incredible event. He is put up on a stand, stripped naked, and the crowd is going wild. He's being branded. I mean, you already see the blood. I mean, because he's gone through this gauntlet of torture. And then they begin to just start cutting off his body parts. Part of the torture is they begin to cut off his genitalia. They cut off one piece, stuff it in his mouth, and force him to eat it. And the crowd is like, yeah! And they cut off some more of his genitalia, stuff that in his mouth, and eat it. So you can imagine this man is standing there before the throng, bleeding, forced to eat his own flesh. And there is no sense of humanity anywhere in the air. Then they start cutting off his fingers and throwing them to the crowd like a souvenir. And the crowd is like, more, 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 more. And Claude is there bleeding to death, being branded with hot irons. And finally, after no more, then strung up. This is the spectacle lynching of Claude Neal. That was horrific enough. But what, in fact, makes it beyond egregious is then the response of the law enforcement officials. The NAACP immediately sent folks down to investigate this lynching. They went to Alabama and they said, Alabama's, there's no crime committed here because he wasn't killed here. So they went to the officials in Florida. Florida said, he's not from here. No crime committed because he's not from here. Now, I didn't realize that anywhere in the statute dealing with murder, it said you had to be from that space in order for that to be a murder. But the NAACP thought, we now have on the books the Lindbergh kidnapping law, based on the kidnapping of Charles Lindbergh's baby, that therefore makes it a crime, a federal crime, to take somebody and transport them against their will across state lines. So the NAACP goes to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI. J. Edgar Hoover says, no crime committed here because nobody asked for a ransom. That is what justice looked like for Claude Neal and so for so many African Americans during the Great Depression.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University.
Okay, we had to bring that video out to show that the public lynchings is something that they're still doing today in a different way, different platform, because what's happening now, the reason why it's still public because it's by social media. Like the situation with George Floyd, that was a public lynching. You know, because I'm going to tell you why, because the media, everybody saw it. That's why it's an outcry. Now, back then, remember, we used the term, we had to give the definition of terrorists to show you domestic terrorism. Because what happened, they went against their own law. They went to they went to J. Edgar Hoover. They went to everything to say, look, there's something that y'all is a breach in the law, y'all messed up. Nah, there was no crime committed here. And you saw how the people was cheering. You best believe they got chilled. They were selling tickets. Some of their so-called pastors, white pastors, were selling tickets. That's where you get the term picnic from.
Remember, it said they advertised it in church.
Advertise it in church. And what people have to understand is this stuff is embedded into the society. See, people don't want to hear the truth, but it is what it is. Okay, let's go to the next video. After this, we're going to go to the next video, and we're going to show you something. We're going to show you how it's a continual thing.
It's the same spirit.
Same spirit.
Of Satan in this certain people.
Go to the next video.
Which one you want now?
Which one we got?
We got Summer, Jim Crow, Tulsa.
Give us Red Summer. Because we're gonna show you, this is history right here, y'all. We're gonna show y'all some. Matter of fact, what did matter of fact, I want Breeze.
Drew Brees.
Oh, you got pull up Drew Brees.
I want him. He made a statement about the protests because he said, he's a football player. He said that anyone that disrespects the flag, right? Because his granddaddies fought in World War II. Is that right? Okay. That's what he said. He said out of his mouth. He said, because, see, let's bring y'all up to date. Colin Kaepernick was a professional football player, a black quarterback, a so-called black man, played football. He led a peaceful protest against these very acts that's taking place today about unarmed black men and Hispanic women, and Hispanic children being killed. He led a peaceful protest during the national anthem and the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner, which, by the way, is really against us. Okay? If you read the lyrics, who wrote it? A known racist. Okay. Now, all the brother was doing was exercise his constitutional right, so they say, to have a peaceful protest. He had nothing. He explained it had nothing to do with the flag. So what happened was Drew Brees, the football player, gonna say, I don't agree with nothing. I don't want to misquote the man. Just dealing with disrespecting the flag. When the man says it had nothing to do with the flag because it was about peaceful protest. But let's hear what this has to say. You got it? You got it, Bethel?
Yep.
Go ahead. And then we go on to Red Summer. I'm gonna show you something.
Agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States or our country. Let me just tell you what I see or what I feel when the national anthem is played and when I look at the flag of the United States. I envision my two grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II, one in the Army and one in the Marine Corps, both risking their lives to protect our country and to try to make our country and this world a better place. So every time I stand with my hand over my heart, looking at that flag and singing the national anthem, that's what I think about. And in many cases, it brings me to tears, thinking about all that has been sacrificed, not just those in the military, but for that matter, those throughout the civil rights movements of the 60s, and everyone, and all that has been endured by so many people up until this point. And is everything right with our country right now? No, it's not. We still have a long way to go. But I think what you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand over your heart is it shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together.
Is that right?
Epic fail.
Shut him down.
All part of the solution.
Shut him down. Let's find out on the other side of the tracks.
Right.
Let's find out how it really is. Give me the video. Oh yeah. So that,
Red Summer?
yeah. So that's what he thinks, huh? That's what he thinks.
He had the nerve to mention the civil rights.
The civil rights movement on top of that, right?
Where they dogged us out in that.
Right. Okay. Let's go. Let's find out about Red Summer. Let's find out what those veterans had to deal with.
That's why in Revelation it said that this woman is drunken with the blood of the saints.
Go ahead.
One soldier named Harry Haywood returned home to find himself immersed in another war in his own country. During the Red Summer of 1919, 2 soldiers were killed during a riot in Chicago. Harry met with fellow veterans, and they all decided to arm themselves. The war had changed them. Some veterans upon returning home resisted homegrown racism on their own shores, and they were ready to fight white supremacy. Even President Woodrow Wilson failed to advocate for the civil rights of the black veterans. During the war, black soldiers were placed in segregated units. One exception was the 93rd Combat Division, which was assigned to the French military. The 93rd received high praise from the French and blacks back home. However, upon their return to America, it meant nothing to the whites. The veterans' resentment often expressed through their migration to the North, their involvement in other organizations, and their writings. Black veterans used newspapers and journals to chronicle their wartime experiences. And they also joined various organizations who shared their values. In Chicago, a black teenager named Eugene Williams crossed the line of a segregated beach on Lake Michigan on a raft. An angry white mob began throwing rocks at him. Eugene slipped off his raft and drowned. This was the beginning of a race riot. Black witnesses wanted the whites to be arrested, but the police refused.
Sound familiar?
So the black folks began raising hell, and an all-out brawl kicked off. Spreading from the beach to all across the city. Many black rioters were arrested, while white folks were let off the hook. The militia needed to be called in.
The what?
Over 1,000 black families lost their homes because white folks burnt them to the ground. In Elaine, Arkansas, the soldiers was coming back from World War I. Over 300,000 blacks had enlisted. A man named Robert Hill started a union for sharecroppers and fought for fair payment. During one of their meetings, the group was threatened by a bunch of angry whites. One of the men exchanged gunfire, leaving a white man for dead. After that, there was a fear of a black uprising. The town of Elaine quickly spread the news of a black sharecropping rebellion, and they wanted blood. The word was, the town is under attack, and the blacks are coming. The next day, mobs of angry white men hit the streets, looking to murder. The white man burnt down homes and killed anything black. Anything in sight that was black was getting murdered, including women and children. They were even cutting off fingers, hands, and feet for souvenirs. Governor Charles Brough sent in over 500 soldiers from the U.S. Army. Once the troops arrived, all the blacks that were hiding came out for rescue. And the troops filled all of them with bullets. Most of the ones who did survive were sentenced to death by electric chair. In Jenkins County, Georgia, a man named Edmund Scott was arrested on a gun charge. The community was trying to bail him out, but the officers told him cash only, no checks. A man who they called Mr. Ruffin pulled one of the officers to the side to have a word with him, and the officer cracked him over the head with his gun. Mr. Ruffin's son shot the officer and killed him. One officer wounded and the other officer dead. The town was outraged. The town lynched both of Mr. Ruffin's sons.
That right there is fire, but this is a black and white image, so it looks like a white light. But that is fire, brothers and sisters.
In Omaha, Nebraska, a black man named Will Brown was accused of raping a white woman.
During his trial, an angry mob of 10,000 white people showed up to the courthouse and demanded that they hand over the rapist.
So much for due process law, right?
Now look in this look in this picture right here. See that there's children in this picture. These children are adults now. Keep that in mind. And some of these children are your police officers, doctors, lawyers, judges. But you don't know that. But these children grew up.
Both of Mr. Ruffin's sons. In Omaha, Nebraska, a black man named Will Brown was accused of raping a white woman. During his trial, an angry mob of 10,000 white people showed up to the courthouse and demanded that they hand over the rapist. They set fire to the courthouse, and William Brown was lynched in front of a huge crowd.
Sounds familiar? That's it. Let me tell y'all something. I want Ezekiel. Give me Ezekiel 35:5. Let me show y'all something. See, this is the thing we're trying to show y'all. This has been going on since the inception of this country. Drew Brees gonna say out of his mouth, but his daddies, like so-called black folks ain't put their lives on the line for this country. And what do we get in return? Lynchings, riots. All these things happen to people who went and fought, put the uniform on to put their lives on the line. Okay? And for that man to say that, because all people are trying to say is injustice. We're going to go over the scriptures about injustice. Okay? What you about to say, Jay?
The difference is his fathers didn't come home and get lynched.
Exactly. You know? And it's a shame because the thing about it is people still don't see it. They seeing it now because of the outcry. But we showing y'all history on this stuff. It keeps going. As a matter of fact, give me the book of Ezekiel 35 and verse 5.
This is the book of Ezekiel chapter 35 and verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred.
What kind of hatred?
Perpetual.
Perpetual means continual. So it's been going on since that time. Police officers did the same thing to our people back then, overseers, doing slavery, did the same thing back during that time they're doing today. They go to the black communities and terrorize people. Okay? You got these nationalists. They terrorize people. That's terrorism, domestic style. And if you can't see that, we pull the definition up. They be breaking laws to get what they want. They go, look, these people haven't even been convicted or nothing. That the angry mob goes and snatch him up out of police custody. And the damn thing, Woodrow Wilson didn't even help the people. He was the president at that time.
Wickedness in high places.
You have to be, let's just keep it real. The laws were not implemented for us. The justice system was not for us. Okay? Because why is that the case? It keeps failing us every time. You don't believe me? Give me Habakkuk. Will you finish up? No, finish up. I'm sorry, finish up.
Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred,
right,
and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel.
Go ahead.
By the force of the sword.
The force of the what?
Of the sword.
Uh-huh.
In the time of their calamity.
Uh-huh.
In the time that their iniquity had an end.
Had an end. Because what they've been doing is been continued. You heard the same thing. They did Claude the same way. They put that other brother, did him the same way. Public lynching. Same thing. It's the same spirit. Who's behind all this? Are we sitting there trying to listen? Do your research. Who creates the climate behind that? Okay? Now let's go to Habakkuk chapter 1. Show y'all something about the justice, about justice.
You start at 2.
Start at verse 2. Verse 1. Habakkuk.
Oh, okay.
Habakkuk.
The book of Habakkuk, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
The burden which Habakkuk the prophet did see.
Habakkuk saw this in the spirit. Read.
O Lord, how long shall I cry?
That's the question. How long shall I cry? How long I'm going to keep on marching? Black Lives Matter. Oh, Lord, we need. How long, oh, Lord, how long should we keep going through this? Read on, brother.
And thou wilt not hear.
The Lord would not hear because we have to start keeping commandments. We trying everything known to man except coming back to this. This is the antidote, the true vaccine that we need is these commandments. Read.
Even cry out unto thee of violence.
Of what?
Of violence.
Didn't these people die violent deaths?
Mm-hmm.
And still dying violent deaths? Read.
And thou wilt not save.
Go ahead.
Why dost thou show me iniquity?
Iniquity is sin. We see wickedness in high places. How these judges and these people that are supposed to have these positions do not give true justice. That's sin because it's not true justice. That's iniquity. Keep reading.
And cause me to behold grievance for spoiling.
For what?
For spoiling.
Because spoiling is the same way they did when they was ransacking Jerusalem, ransacking all of our communities. They come in and they riot and they destroy, they burn things down to the ground and they steal. You think we making this up? We're going to show you another video. Keep reading.
For spoiling and violence are before me.
Go ahead.
And there are that raise up strife and contention.
You see it today. Strife and contention. You got this group right here for justice. This other group right here, nah, they don't need no justice.
Well, remember how that whole Red Summer thing got started?
Right.
The boys on that raft went over an imaginary line.
Imaginary line, right. In the water. Here you in the water with the Most High made everything. How the heck you gonna tell me I can't? I'm in some water. Is an imaginary line, and the angry mob got upset and basically made the brother drown. But did nobody get charged though?
Nope.
Even with the whole riot, no. Who went to jail? We did. The same way today. The justice system is not set up for us, brothers and sisters, because if that was the case, why don't you have mass incarceration over the 90s? Why is it in the drug trade you always get more high crime, you go to jail a lot longer than the so-called white man goes to jail for? Why are crimes classified? Because it's wickedness in high places. Because these people that you see, you don't believe it, do your research. Keep reading, brother, it gets better.
Verse 4.
Right.
Therefore, the law is slack.
The what is slacked?
The law is slack.
Their laws, these laws are slack because you want to know why? You can plead to a lesser charge. It could be what they call manslaughter. It could be straight murder, but they can say, you know what? I'm not going to give you manslaughter. The what is slack, brother?
Therefore, the law is slack.
The law is slack. Read.
And judgment doth never go forth.
Not when it come to us. When it come to us, they make up something. You hear what Hoover said? There was no kidnap. There was no ransom. No, he didn't get killed here. The justice, everybody passed it. The man dead. The man got put to death unjustly. He didn't even get due process law, what they always try to say. He didn't get that. They had their own justice. They went against their own law, their own jurisdiction. What is that called? If we go back to the term terrorist, what is that called? See, that's not play with words. Let's not get stupid here. Let's not play with words. Okay? Read again, brother.
Therefore, the law is slack.
Go ahead.
And judgment doth never go forth.
Go ahead.
For the wicked.
For the what?
The wicked.
Go ahead.
Doth compass about the righteous.
Go ahead.
Therefore, wrong judgment proceedeth.
That's why they could kill us and get off 100%.
But these people claim to be God-fearing Christians.
Right.
Well, why is it when they create these mobs that they forget about the law,
Right.
falling out a multitude to do evil?
Right. Because the same constant always happens. The angry mob, snatch them up, string them up. But that's their laws though, right?
But they're not following that.
They're not following that.
They following the spirit of Satan.
Right. Give me another video. We gotta show y'all visual aid. We ain't just making this stuff up. Give me Tulsa. You got Tulsa? Okay. Give me Tulsa, Oklahoma. Give me Tulsa. And I want you do it around the 28. Do it on the 28. Verse 15.
Oh, hold on.
What's up?
We forgot real quick. Zechariah, because that was perfect for these last couple of videos. How our people were getting charged.
Right. Hold that video. We're gonna hit black. We're gonna hit that. But go ahead to hit the scripture though, brother.
But they didn't get charged. This is Zechariah chapter 11 and verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. And their own shepherds pity them not.
So their own shepherds, their own leaders, don't pity them at all because they are they really, well, everything's okay. Nothing happened. Okay? So the problem is, once again, justice never goes out for our people. Okay? All right, now hit the video, brother. Let's go to another video.
After unarmed father Terrence Crutcher was shot and killed by police, hundreds protested here in Tulsa. What many didn't know is that nearly 100 years ago, on these very streets on which they were marching, hundreds of African Americans were killed in one of the darkest chapters of Tulsa's and America's history. A lot of folks around here used to whisper about it over the decades, but nobody, black nor white, wanted to talk about it. And that history was being forgotten. Before it happened, Tulsa was the scene of a thriving, wealthy black community.
Black Wall Street was the most prosperous black-owned business district in 1921.
This was Black Wall Street. There were hundreds of black-owned businesses, everything from banks to pharmacies to the doctor's office. And black folks were making really good money. There were even 2 movie theaters, all black-owned and operated. Segregation was in full effect. We heard that there was a gentleman who owned a plane. Is that true?
Simon Barry was a pilot and owned his own plane.
Black folks were rich here, basically. They lived very good lives.
Many of them, yes. Yes, which caused some envy and anger among white people who commented, how dare those Negroes have a grand piano in their house and I don't have a piano in my house.
1921 rolls around. What happens?
Some type of confrontation between blacks and whites was inevitable because of the racial climate at that time, because of the presence of the Ku Klux Klan in almost every aspect of our society. But on this particular day, May 31st, 1921, a young black male named Dick Rowland, who worked as a shoe shine boy in downtown Tulsa, went into the Drexel building where he had been given permission to get water and use the restroom. There was a young white girl named Sarah Page who was an elevator operator. And Dick Rowland every day would go into the elevator with Sarah Page. On this particular day, after the elevator doors closed and Sarah Page and Dick Rowland were alone in the elevator, a few moments later there was a scream, the elevator doors opened, Dick Rowland ran and was later arrested, and Sarah Page initially claimed that she had been assaulted.
Brown says Page never pressed charges, but authorities did, and the damage was done. By the end of the day, the rumor mill said Page had been raped.
As word spread, angry whites were determined that they were going to take matters into their own hands.
A large crowd of white residents gathered at the courthouse. They demanded Dick Rowland be lynched.
How did the black community respond to that demand to lynch this young man?
They were willing to risk their lives. They knew that they would be risking their lives to help defend Dick Rowland. And thousands of whites gathered in front of the courthouse. A white man approached a black man with a gun. He said, "What are you going to do with that gun?" He said, "I'm going to use it if I have to."
The two men argued. There was a struggle over the gun. It fired. The white resident was shot. All hell broke loose.
Blacks retreated to the Greenwood district, where they set up a barrier at the railroad tracks and were able for a short time to keep whites from invading their community. But because they were so outnumbered and outgunned, whites eventually broke through the railroad tracks and invaded what was home to Black Wall Street, the Greenwood district.
This was the result. 35 city blocks of the black neighborhood burned to the ground. Historical photos show black residents shot dead in the streets. The historical account is that at least 300 people were killed.
There were children that were here that had been armed by their parents, that had been told that they could come down to Greenwood and shoot and kill an innocent person. Those are the same people that we grew up with in our communities, that were a part of our society.
How many black people lost their lives?
There's really no way of knowing exactly how many people lost their lives, potentially thousands of innocent men, women, and children.
What is worse, survivors say they remember death not just in the streets, but raining down from the sky.
Many of our race riot survivors have commented that they remembered seeing planes flying overhead, dropping bombs, dropping nitroglycerin bombs.
Mrs. Hazel Smith Jones is believed to be the last living survivor in Tulsa. She's 97 years old.
My daddy wasn't at home, just the kids and mama. They came and got us.
Was it white people from the city?
And carried us to fairground. And we was there for about 2 or 3 days.
To the fairgrounds?
And my dad didn't know where we were.
Did your family want to leave?
My mother, you know, with all this stuff going on, she thought it might have been safer with them taking us out there and being with more people.
Everyone called it a race riot. The opinion piece in the newspaper condoned it, calling Greenwood Niggertown.
Do you consider it a riot?
No, ma'am. It was really murder. It was a massacre. My grandmother was awakened at night and just told to run. Just get up and run. And they ran. She was only 9. They ran for days. She got mixed up from her family and lost in a chicken coop.
Calling it a riot was convenient for a city run by whites. There's no statute of limitations for murder, but there is for a riot. For the black victims, it was devastating.
They never received any type of justice for losing their loved ones, for losing their homes and the businesses that they worked so hard for, that they built from the ground up.
Every insurance claim from the Greenwood neighborhood was denied. The claims totaled about $2.7 million. Black Wall Street did recover, but never to its former glory.
Do you think life is better for black folks in America now?
Yeah. Some places, yes, some places not.
If there was any clearer sign that change in race relations...
See, I'm going to tell y'all something. What that also proves, brothers and sisters, is the narrative, the lie, that we never pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps. Every time we tried, whether it was there, Rosewood, you had other black flourishing communities during those time periods where we were minding our own business, had our own business, doing our thing. And what happened? You know, and it baffles me, because the more I see history like this stuff that was hid, they wanted to hide this. Okay, a lot of this stuff, a lot of history, because it's shame. It's shameful for them to even believe that they still treat our people the same way. Because we have to understand something, y'all. It's because of the curses. Okay? Go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15 and 16. This is what we have to understand, y'all. This is a reason why. The reason why we're showing you this is because we're showing you something. And then you had that scripture you wanted.
Yeah. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 16.
We do it for 15.
Okay, 15.
Uh-huh.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
Go ahead.
to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Go ahead.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
When the Bible says, cursed shall thou be in the city, brothers and sisters, it started with even back to the time of the Maccabees. Okay, you go back to the time when the so-called white man came to power. He destroyed Jerusalem. They call what you call the desolation, the abomination. Okay, because our forefathers, our foreparents was disobedient to the Most High, he allowed the other nations to come and destroy us. And it's still under curses today. That's why we constantly having problems in every metropolitan city. You have race riots all over. Okay? And it's in the field in the small towns too. Okay? And that's what we trying to show our people. We're under curses. That's how we identify who we are. We show that we're under curses. Do that history. You can go through that history. During the time of the Greeks, we're going to go to that in the Bible, because the Bible is a history book. Okay? You got that scripture, brother?
Oh, yeah, I want to bring out First Ezra.
Hit 17, too, because they destroyed all those businesses.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we can hit verse 17. Cursed should be that basket in that store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 17.
Yeah.
Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store.
And that's what happened with them. That was a flourishing. They had their own theater. They had their own community. We didn't even need to even be around the so-called white man, because we had our own doctors, lawyers. It said at one point, they said Black Wall Street, the money would circulate for, 3 or 4 years before it left the community. Because the blacks they were very resourceful. We had brothers and sisters that had different tasks. They had different how can I say it? Different types of talents. Okay. Okay. And that's the point. So what that shows you is we can do that again. Because think about it, we're the number one consumers. We spend our money on it. We spend our money with people that don't love us. We go to everybody else and make everybody else rich, but come into our own communities and building up our own communities. If you want to rep your hood, help your hood. Because every time our brothers and sisters get money, what they do, they go spend money with everybody else. And you wonder it's because it's the curses. We're under curses. We keep telling y'all that. That's why we will never flourish until we come back to keep the commandments in the faith of Christ. That's the only way we're going to get out of this condition. But we keep on running to politicians. We need more legislation. We need to vote. You keep voting. What the hell? That's not going to solve nothing. We didn't try that. It ain't working. It's amazing to me sometimes. We've tried going to our oppressor asking for fairness, and it ain't working, because they're going to always have the upper hand because they're ruling. This is their time to rule. You understand? So we have to come back to who we are, come back to our heritage, keep commandments, repent of the wickedness, and then the Lord will deliver us and we will have our own. But until that time, we have to deal with it. Believe that, okay? Let's go to the scripture.
All right, so y'all notice that, like we went to Ezekiel 35 and 5. They have had a perpetual hatred against us. These same people that you keep seeing doing these same atrocities to us.
Yes.
Killing our people, burning our things, just doing all things that we haven't even mentioned. They've been doing that for centuries.
Yes. That's why we're going back to the Maccabees when the man first came into power. Because some of y'all don't want to deal with this because when it shows you, what it shows you is when this man came into power, best believe, that's when our downfall started beginning.
But even before he came into power,
right?
This is First Ezra chapter 4 and verse 45.
Go ahead.
Thou also hast vowed to build up the temple which the Edomites burned when Judea was made desolate by the Chaldeans. So they got a habit of burning things.
Right. The same way they did in the time of Rome. Matter of fact, go to the book of, let's go what Christ had to say. Go to the book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 20. Show y'all something. This is what Christ had to say.
The book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 20.
Go ahead.
And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies.
So Christ is giving, he's letting our people know a future prophecy. He's saying, when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, in this context, y'all, he's talking about Titus and Vespasian. Okay? 69 to 70 AD. That's why you have the Arch of Titus, because it shows you what happened when they came in and they looted and they burned Jerusalem to the ground. And that's where they flee, because Christ tells us, keep reading.
When ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies,
go ahead.
Then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
That was already prophesied. Keep reading.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
When he said flee to the mountains, a lot of our people they fled into Africa, they fled into Spain, they fled all over. Because Christ is telling you, because when the Romans came, they sieged Jerusalem and burned it down to the ground. Read on.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
Which means you couldn't come back to Jerusalem for feast days. Right. The Lord is saying, don't come back. Don't even do it, because this is the day of vengeance. Go ahead.
For these be the days of vengeance.
Go ahead.
That all things which are written may be fulfilled.
May be fulfilled. Go ahead.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Go ahead.
For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
The same thing going on today. The same spirit is still here. Keep reading.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
Because our people died the same way in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the same way in Rosewood, the same way these flourishing communities, our people died. By the hands of who?
Those same people with
those
the spirit
same
of
people.
Satan.
Titus and Vespasian, they were Edomites.
Yep, Romans. Roman Edomites.
Okay? The same people, the same wickedness that you still seeing in high places is still going on today.
Yeah, pull them up. Pull them up.
Okay? And this is a hate campaign? No, it's a truth campaign. This is history. Okay? Our people need to see this. Okay? And find out where it comes from. Because people keep thinking they got these rose-colored glasses on, thinking, oh, yeah, we good. No, we ain't good. Nah, we're not good. Okay?
Let me finish?
Yeah, go ahead. Finish up, bro.
Shall be led away captive into all nations.
Into all nations. That's why we're scattered. Okay, to all nations. Go ahead.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles.
Go ahead.
Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
And that's what's going on today. That's why that land, Jerusalem over there, that is our land. Okay? But
while he's getting that, let me go to Luke 19.
Luke 19?
Yeah, Luke 19 and 43.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Christ saying the same thing.
Yep.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 19 and verse 43. For the days shall come upon thee that thine enemies, these same people, shall cast a trench about thee and compass thee round about and keep thee in on every side. And shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee.
Yep.
And they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation.
because Christ is reiterating, like he said in Luke in the gospel, that that's what's going to happen to our people. And the reason is, brothers and sisters, is because we are disobedient. And until we come back to who our God is, how we're supposed to keep these commandments in the faith of Christ, that's when we're going to have progress. But we keep on holding hands with everybody else and talk about something we need change, and then until something else happens.
But it's amazing how generation after generation, they still have this same spirit.
Right.
Where they want to destroy us and everything we have, tear it down and burn it to the ground.
There you go. Where's the other video, brother? No, we just want to show. Well, we can read. Well, we already showed the Arch of Titus, because even what they did with that's right there. That's the Arch of Titus right there. They got that in Rome, right? As a matter of fact, they proud of that. They called the Arch of Titus. Why they called the Arch of Titus? Because he was involved in it. Okay? All this stuff is history. Y'all see how they took our menorah? Yep. You see that? They spoiling. That's what you call what they're doing. They're looting.
So they went in our temple and took God's pleasant things.
Pleasant things. Right. Okay? Those are Romans. They did all that. Okay? That's the Arch of Titus right there. Okay? They burned Jerusalem. They laid it, because even Christ says they lay it even with the ground. Right. So that means that means you burnt it down. That's all it means. Okay? Who's behind all this?
Yeah, we even in history, they know they burnt it down.
Right.
Vespasian, he said not to burn it down, but the soldiers, when he went to sleep, they went and burnt it down.
Right. Now what's the next video, brother?
What the Lord said gonna happen, gonna happen.
Gonna happen. What's the next one? We're going to Jim Crow. I'm going to show y'all something. Because some of y'all seem to think that the North was so, because we showed Chicago was bad. That was Chicago, Red Summer. But then you got this right here. Listen, as a matter of fact, didn't this just happen in Minneapolis?
Oh, yeah.
Let me show you about the Jim Crow of the North. Let's go ahead. We're going to show the first part of the video. That's all we want. Show y'all something.
Yeah, what happened to George Floyd was in Minneapolis.
Right. That happened in Minneapolis, right? Check this out. Twin Cities, right? We do not want you.
This mob of over 100 people marched on an African American's house in October of 1909 to try to stop this family from moving in. The leading men of Minneapolis, as the newspaper called them, these are not the kind of people who want to be involved in mob violence. And they don't have to, because they have other tools that they can use.
Crafty.
And there's this tool that they become aware of. It's called a racial covenant. And so just a few months after this confrontation, you see the first racial covenant appear in a Minneapolis property.
And this is where you first see this racial language.
Caucasians only, Aryans only, no Negroes or no members of African blood or descent.
100% of them were aimed at black people.
In many ways, racial covenants, this is kind of ground zero of residential segregation. In the United States, and racism have a very, very long history, but this particular deployment of racism is fairly new, and this idea was really made material through instruments like racial covenants.
The law of the streets, the law of the courts working in consort to discourage blacks from moving into white neighborhoods.
It starts out as private property developers, but eventually you have the federal government encouraging these racial covenants, demanding actually that any investment they make is protected with this kind of racial exclusivity.
When you can covenant entire
areas of the city. It makes it off limits. That's pretty powerful. This is Jim Crow of the North.
That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. Y'all get an opportunity, watch the whole video. It's a very powerful video. Let me tell y'all something. You see what you see the one constant? The government was okay with it. Spiritual wickedness in high places. So you want to go to the government, the same government now that really is in agreement with this stuff. They say, yeah, we won't change. See, that's the problem, y'all. We going to the wrong people instead of going to the Lord. Go ahead, brother.
The same people that have done all these things to you for thousands of years, now you want to go hand in hand with them for your cause. That is not going to work. That's why the Lord tells you to come out from...
We're going to hit that. We're going to hit that. Matter of fact, but I want to give us the other video, though.
While he's getting that, let me hit Ezra real quick. Because our people think that we need them to help build. And that's not so.
We already proved it with Black Wall Street. Right. We proved it with Rosewood. We don't need that. All we got to do is keep these commandments and use this. If we use the Bible, I'm going to show y'all something. If we use the Bible as our main source of inspiration, understanding, we won't have these problems. But because we keep being told that we African Americans, we told all this crazy nonsense, that's why we constantly in disarray. Because we don't know who we are. But go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Right. This is the book of Ezra chapter 4 and verse 3. And what's going on is Cyrus had given the Jews permission to go back to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple that the Edomites burnt down.
Exactly.
So this is Ezra chapter 4 and verse 3. But Zerubbabel and Jeshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, talking about the other nations, ye have nothing to do with us to build an house unto our God, but we ourselves together will build unto the Lord God of Israel, as the king Cyrus, the king of Persia, have commanded us. So we don't need them to help build our nation back up. That's the house right now, our nation, the house of Israel.
Let's go to the vid. Show y'all something. This is more up to date now. Another northern city.
Police department carried out one of the greatest 30 years ago, the Philadelphia Police Department carried out one of the greatest acts of police terror in U.S. history, right where I'm standing. The target was an organization called MOVE, a nearly all-black revolutionary group. On May 13, 1985, police set an example for all radicals nationwide by bombing the MOVE home, full of innocent men, women, and children, trapping them so that 11 people burned alive. I sat down with the only adult survivor of the MOVE bombing, Ramona Africa, to hear her story, one of the hidden people's histories of life in American empire. The MOVE organization was born in Philadelphia during a time of revolt. People of all nationalities were joining revolutionary groups and challenging the core structures of empire: war, racism, and inequality. In the tradition of the 1950s civil rights struggle, armed self-defense against police and vigilante terror was also taken up by oppressed groups in the 60s and 70s. It was also a time of severe political repression, with wanton police brutality and COINTELPRO employed against black radicals. Led by founder John Africa, MOVE's philosophy was to challenge the abuse of all forms of life, including animals and nature, and held regular non-violent protests confronting everything from Dow Chemical to the Ringling Brothers Circus. Under their philosophy of back-to-nature communalism, they liberally grew their hair and didn't conform to societal norms. Composting, caring for stray animals, and living without technology made them the target of ridicule and violence. They were called dirty hippies, cultists, and dangerous terrorists by the media. But despite the smear campaign, many were inspired by MOVE's message, commitment, and actions. Ramona Africa tells the story of how she joined the group.
I start seeing the contradictions, the paradoxes, the lies, because at the time I met MOVE, I was a student my last year at Temple University. I had planned to go to law school.
Who were demonstrating in favor of Black Studies classes, where he ordered cops to, quote, get the... It propelled figures like notorious crooked cop Frank Rizzo to positions of power. His claim to fame was leading an ultra-violent police riot against peaceful students in 1967, who were demonstrating in favor of Black Studies classes, where he ordered cops to, quote, get their black asses. As police commissioner, he proudly evoked a lynching while ordering raids on Black Panther offices, saying to a reporter, the Black Panthers should be... As police commissioner, he proudly evoked a lynching while ordering raids on Black Panther offices, saying to a reporter, the Black Panthers should be strung up. His qualifications made him a star to the racist white sectors of Philadelphia. Openly campaigning on so-called white rights, he became mayor in 1971. One of his campaign slogans was Vote White. The dual hatred of both African Americans and progressives made MOVE an obsession for the mayor and his ilk. MOVE members became a target of regular harassment and physical attacks by Rizzo's cops. Their abuse reached unspeakable heights. Between 1974 and 1975, 3 different MOVE women reported miscarriages after police beat them in their pregnant stomachs. In a police attack in 1976, Janina Africa's 3-week-old child Life was crushed by police. As Mamia Abu Jamal reported, non-MOVE eyewitnesses saw police club Janine while she clutched her infant baby. In response to these vicious attacks, MOVE grew increasingly militant, upholding the philosophy of self-defense. But Rizzo and his gang weren't satisfied with random beatings. They didn't want an organized group of empowered Black radicals that could criticize the police and fight back against their abuse to exist at all. For the good of the empire, all of COINTELPRO's hard work had to be honored. In 1977, escalating attacks led to members brandishing guns outside their home, declaring we will no longer be beaten and intimidated by police. 24-hour surveillance and positioning of attack squads and checkpoints surrounding the MOVE house began. But as the group remained defiant, the heavy-handed lockdown became an embarrassing 15-month quagmire for Rizzo.
The police will be in there to drag them out by the backs of their necks. They're going to be taken by force if they resist. No question about that.
Pouring down on us. I mean, pouring down on us. We were in the basement. The water was just pouring down. We did not come out. And the first mode of attack against us was the fire department. 4 deluge hoses. We were in the basement. The water was just pouring down on us. I mean, pouring down on us.
When flooding the house didn't work, police launched their next phase of attack.
Then the police, they put smoke, tear gas, and it started spreading through the house. But in order to put the tear gas in our house, what they did was they used explosives. They claimed they wanted to put 3-inch holes in the party walls on either side of our home to insert tear gas. When they finished using those explosives that were supposed to put 3-inch holes in the wall, they had blown our whole front porch off. I mean, the whole front of our house was blown away, so it was wide open. So when that didn't drive us out of our home, they started shooting. According to their estimates, and you can take that with a grain of salt and scale it up. They shot over 10,000 rounds of bullets in on us within the first 90 minutes. They had to send to their arsenal for more bullets, for more bullets. It was only a handful of us in that house, 6 children in that house. When I say they shot over 10,000 rounds of bullets, they had their sidearms, they had M16 rifles, they had shotguns, they had sniper rifles with silencers on them. They had M60 automatic rifles.
The police say the first shots were automatic gunfire from the move house, yet the only automatic weapons ever found belonged to the police. Shockingly, they brought more than just M60 machine guns and enough ammo to kill a small city. They had bombs, too. Hovering in a police helicopter 6 feet over the move home, Lieutenant Frank Powell, with the official approval of Mayor Good and Police Commissioner Greg Samber, lit 2 pounds of C4 explosives and threw the bomb onto Move's roof.
This 5:27 p.m. state police helicopter drops it. There is the explosion.
The act of terror was long planned. An internal FBI letter confirms the agency personally delivered 30 blocks of C4 to the Philadelphia police for the assault. When you guys were in the basement, did you hear them announce anything before the bombing?
No, I didn't. But like I said, it wouldn't have made a difference because we knew, we were very, very clear on the fact that they were not out there to arrest anybody. They had plenty of opportunity to arrest us if that was their aim, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Their aim was to kill, to exterminate, annihilate the MOVE organization. And that is why we didn't come out. We knew it. We knew it.
For people who haven't been in combat or been around something like machine gun fire or bombs dropped.
Like me?
Yeah. I mean, talk about what happened when that bomb dropped.
Well, when they dropped that bomb, we heard it and we knew it was something big because we could feel it in the house. But it never occurred. Well, I'll say it never occurred to me. I don't think it occurred to any of us that they had dropped a bomb on our house. And the fire started on the roof. So we're in the basement. We didn't know initially that a fire had started. But they knew it. They knew it and did nothing to put it out.
When the fire erupted, Police Commissioner Samber and Fire Commissioner William Richmond both gave the order to, quote, let the fire burn.
So after a while, it was kind of quiet, nothing was happening. But the smoke started getting thicker, and initially we thought it was still the tear gas. But as it was getting thicker, we're like, no, this is something else. And it started getting hot in there, it started getting hot. And then we could hear the tree in the back of our house crackling. It had caught on fire. When we realized our house was on fire, contrary to what this system wants to convince people that we're suicidal and, made a decision to be burned alive, that's a lie. We tried to get our children, our animals, ourselves out of that blazing inferno. We hollered out, we're coming out, we're bringing the kids out. The kids were hollering, "We're coming out. They're bringing us out." You know what the response was to that when we started trying to come out? They opened fire on us. They opened fire on us. Bullets were hitting all around us. We were forced back into the house at least twice, which put us in a position of being burned alive or being shot to death. We made one last attempt to...
So, let me tell you, the common denominator, brothers and sisters, is this. Is wickedness in high places. You have these government officials now that allow that's a terrorist act right there. That's an act of terror. Even that white woman who was doing the documentary, she understood that. She said act of terror, and that's what it was. And they already proved that them people never even shot back at them. So what it's showing you is the spirit behind it. Okay? Until the Most High comes and destroy this place, that's what's going to have to happen. See, you ain't going to be able to organize to do nothing. Okay? We can't even organize a food drive. How the hell are we going to organize anything else to take somebody down? That's why we keep trying to tell y'all we are not a part of that nonsense. What we want to do is get our people back in order, because when Christ cracked that sky, give me the book of Revelation. Tell y'all something was coming. 18, start at verse 1. See, we can't do it. What our job is as servants of the Lord. Our job as repentant Israelites keep commandments. Okay? Because guess who's going to take care of this? Give me the book of Revelation, chapter 18, start at verse 1.
And just so y'all know, she's the only living survivor of that.
Ain't that something?
All right, the book of Revelation, chapter 18 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
After these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory.
This is Christ. For some of y'all don't know, this angel, the top angel, this is Christ. Read on.
And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen.
Go ahead.
And is become the habitation of devils.
You better believe it.
I know that's right.
Go ahead.
And the hold of every foul spirit.
You better believe that. Read on.
And a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
Hateful bird. Hateful spirits. They hate you continually. They showing through their policies.
Yep.
Through everything. Read.
For all nations.
All what?
All nations.
Go ahead.
Have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
Go ahead.
And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her.
Go ahead.
And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
This place is rich beyond measure. Okay? Off the backs of slaves, over all the different things they've done. This place is very rich. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 18 and verse 4.
Go ahead.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying,
Go ahead.
Come out of her, my people.
The Bible says, come out of her, my people. Come out of the politics or politics. Come out of the religions. Come out of the falsehoods. Come back to keep the commandments and the faith of Christ. Read.
That ye be not partakers of her sins.
Because if you link up with this, you want to vote, you want to do all that stuff, you are partakers of the sins. That means you are excessive to the crime. Read.
And that ye receive not of her plagues.
Because the plagues are going to hit this place. You think coronavirus is something? Think again. The party's just getting started. Read.
For her sins have reached unto heaven.
Go ahead.
And God have...
And who?
God. Have remembered her iniquity.
You want to forget? He ain't going to forget. Read.
Reward her even as she rewarded you.
Oh, didn't they reward us with death? Didn't they reward us time, bro? A perpetual hatred? Aren't they still doing it today? Read.
And double unto her double, according to her works. In the cup which she have filled to her double.
Because they constantly keep doing it. This incident happened, then another incident going to happen. It's going to keep on happening. Read.
Verse 7. How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her.
Oh, the Lord said give it all back to her. That's what they scared of. They scared it's going to come back to hit them, and it's going to hit them. Because when Christ cracked that sky, you best believe game time going to start. Read.
For she have said in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow.
Which much pride. Because no war never hit here.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
And shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day.
The Lord going to bring the Lord going to bring the fire. Read.
Death.
What?
Death and mourning and famine. And she shall be utterly burned with fire.
Didn't they burn our communities to fire? Did they do all that?
Yes.
Didn't they do all that to our people? Yes, because it's written. It's in the history books. You can't get around it. Read.
For strong is the Lord God.
For strong is who?
The Lord God.
Read.
Who judgeth her.
Go ahead.
And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and live deliciously with her.
Go ahead.
Shall bewail her. And lament for her.
Go ahead.
When they shall see the smoke of her burning.
You best believe it's coming to a theater near you. Read.
Verse 10. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas,
right,
that great city, Babylon, that mighty city.
Go ahead.
For in 1 hour is thy judgment come.
Because the Most High is not playing. He gonna make sure this place gets what's coming to it. Okay? They've done evil far too much, and they've gotten away with it, and still getting away with it, and still being unjust. So guess who has to deal with it? The Lord gonna deal with it. That's how we keep trying to tell you, brothers and sisters. Don't get yourself wrapped up in this nonsense. You keep commandments in the faith of Christ. You come by the way God wants you to live. Give me the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 4, verse 28. This is what you have to do. And we're gonna be done.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 4, and verse 28.
Go ahead, brother.
Strive for the truth unto death.
Strive for what?
Strive for the truth unto death.
Strive for the truth unto death. Read.
And the Lord shall fight for thee.
Who gonna fight for thee?
The Lord shall fight for thee.
That's who's gonna fight your battles, brothers and sisters. You remain patient. Keep the commandments and tuck in. And come out of her, my people, and receive none of her plagues. Because that's who's going to bring judgment. Because ultimately, the Lord is going to hate all this injustice that's going on. Okay? Believe that. Okay? All right.
And remember, it starts at the top.
There you go.
And trickles down.
Since I said it, give me the book of Ephesians. Chapter 6 and verse 10. The namesake of the class.
Remember that guy? He ended up becoming the mayor.
Yes, he did.
And he the one that gave permission for all of that.
Right. I want my fact. Give me verse 10. Ephesians 6 and 10.
The book of Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 10.
Go ahead.
Finally, my brethren.
Go ahead.
Be strong in the Lord.
Be strong in who?
In the Lord.
Not in politics. Not in politics. Okay, strong in the Lord. Read.
And in the power of his might.
The power of his might. Read.
Put on the whole armor of God.
Put on put on the whole spiritual armor of God. Read.
That ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
Of the deceiver, because you're being deceived right now. But thinking we hold hands with everybody, we good. That's a lie. It's deception. Read.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Go ahead.
But against principalities.
Go ahead.
Against powers.
Go ahead.
Against the rulers of the darkness of this world.
Go ahead.
Against spiritual wickedness in high places.
That's what you're fighting. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, they're spiritual. And we have to start with our mind first. Get all this, detox all this nonsense out of our spirits and come back to keep the commands in the faith of Christ. All right?
That's right.
All right. Now, to finish up,
Yep.
1 Peter
Yep.
chapter 2, verse 21.
The book of 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 21.
Go ahead.
For even hereunto were ye called.
Yes.
Because Christ also suffered for us,
Uh-huh.
leaving us an example,
Right.
that ye should follow his steps.
We follow Christ in the keeping the commandments. That's the only solution to our problem. Read.
Who did no sin.
Christ didn't have a foolish thought. Read.
Neither was guile found in his mouth.
Because Christ wasn't deceitful. Christ told it like it was. He was straightforward. Read.
Who, when he was reviled, reviled not again.
Go ahead.
And when he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him that judgeth righteously.
He committed him. That's who judges righteously. The Lord does not judge unrighteously like these unrighteous judges. The way these demons are now. He don't do that. The Lord judge right. He gonna give every man according to his works. Exactly. Some of y'all don't think that. Believe it. Okay? The book of Acts, chapter 5, verse 29, brother.
The book of Acts, chapter 5 and verse 29.
Go ahead.
Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than men.
And that's who we must obey, brothers and sisters. We must obey the Most High in Christ in the keeping of the commandments. Stop putting your faith in this man's system. Stop putting your faith in this man's politics. Stop putting your faith in these religions. Put your faith in Christ. That's who we follow. We follow the Most High in Christ, and that's it. We follow nobody else. Okay? We want to give the Most High in Christ all the praise and glory for allowing us to even teach His word just a little bit, just to share some things with our brothers and our sisters. Y'all have to stay strong and stay prayed up and stay study up, because Satan is always busy. Believe that, brothers and sisters. But guess who else is busy? The Most High in Christ. Believe that as well. Okay? Did anyone have any questions pertaining to today's class? Everyone good? Everyone good? All right. Okay, check the chat. The class a little bit long today, a little bit extended version. Kind of lost a little bit track of time, but we felt that had to be brought out, brothers and sisters. We had to show y'all that. Like I said, y'all stay strong. You know what I'm saying? Stay in order, because that's what it's about, being in order with Christ.
Hey, Buffer, can you post the links? I did.
Yeah. Post the links for the people.
All praise.
Like I said, we give Most High Christ all the praise and glory, brothers and sisters. Y'all stay prayed up, stay strong, okay? Pray for one another. Peace and blessings to the nation. Okay, that's what we need, y'all. We need peace, perfect peace, getting that kingdom. That's what we're pressing towards the mark, okay? We're going to give the Most High Christ all the praise and glory, like I said before. With that, we want to say shalom.